In this video, I'm going to give an in-depth review of every single project in the October 2025 BTO launch. But before we dive into the details, let me give you an overview of what I think about this October launch. If you are looking for a project that is within walking distance to MRT station, you are in luck because 7 out of 10 BTO project in this October launch is either near an MRT station or LRT station. So definitely you are spoiled for choices. If you are wondering which project can be sold above $1 million in the future, well, based on the nearby resale price, Berlayar Residences, Redhill Peaks, Mount Pleasant Crest, and Oakville at Ang Mo Kio already sold beyond $1 million for a 4-room flat. Bishan Terraces and Pingy Court nearby resale price still under $1 million, but I can easily see within 10 to 15 years, it will go beyond $1 million as well. If we are looking purely by numbers, Oakville at Ang Mo Kio gives you the potential highest margin if you are keen to sell your flat after MOP future down the road. If you are looking for a flat in a mature town but still has the standard restrictions, then Pingy Court is pretty much the only option that you have because that's the only project in mature town that is still categorized as standard as we speak right now. Furthermore, Pingy Court also has one of the shortest waiting time with 33 months, which is significantly faster versus the other projects in mature town. But note that Pingy Court at Bedok and also Oakville at Ang Mo Kio are very far from the nearest MRT station, so you would need to have your own vehicle or take the feeder bus. If you are looking for an affordable option, I would say between Chencharu Grove and Fernvale Plains are strong contenders. Fernvale Plains in general offer a lower entry price for you to start your property journey. But then again, with Fernvale Plains, you need to be okay to take LRT before switching to MRT to commute around the town. But with Chencharu Grove, you will be within walking distance to Khatib MRT station, which can give you a direct access to the CBD area. If you are single or senior looking for a 2-room flexi, I would say that your biggest chance is to apply to Bukit Merah town in this October launch. Why? Because both Berlayar Residences and also Redhill Close have quite a lot of 2-room flexi supply there. Other than that, you can also apply to Mount Pleasant Crest, Ang Mo Kio, or to Yishun, where both of the Yishun projects also have quite a lot of 2-room flexi supply. Now, you might be wondering whether it's worth it to apply this October or just wait until the next BTO launch, which is in February 2026. Well, I have looked at the different plot that will be offered in February 2026 BTO, and objectively, I would say this October lineup is actually much better. Why? Because in February, they will not only launch BTO but also SBF. And as you know, for SBF, they have different towns. So it seems like every time the BTO is combined with SBF, then the BTO options becomes more limited. So for example, in the next February 2026 BTO, I would say the star would be a Bukit Merah site, which is ironically actually next to the site of the Redhill Peaks right now. And then another darling would probably be this Tampines Central location, because it is within walking distance to Tampines MRT station and it has a mature surrounding. But then again, that development is so small. It's like 250 units or something. So I can imagine that the application rate for that would be sky high. So if you are thinking of just waiting until February, I strongly recommend you to review your decision. Unless you want to bet on SBF, I would say this October launch is actually objectively has a stronger lineup versus February 2026 BTO lineup. And with that, let's deep dive into every single BTO project in this October 2025 sales launch. Let's talk about Berlayar Residences. Located between Berlayar Street and Berlayar Drive, this BTO is within walking distance to Teluk Blangah MRT station. This project features 4 residential blocks ranging from 19 to 46 stories. 3 blocks will comprise of 880 units of 2-room flexi, 3-room and 4-room flats, which will be offered as prime flats under the new flat classification framework, while the fourth block will house rental flats. In terms of on-site facilities, this project will have a preschool. And of course, as usual, it will also have fitness corners for adults and elderly residents, and also nature-themed playgrounds inspired by the nearby Berlayar Creek. Residents can enjoy additional green spaces in the roof garden above the multi-story car park, sky gardens atop two of the residential blocks, and sky terraces located at the 20th and 37th story of Block 206A and Block 208A. These spaces provide pleasant areas for relaxation and community activities while offering views of the surrounding area. In terms of estimated waiting time, unfortunately, this project will only be completed about 56 months, which is the second slowest project delivered in this October 2025 BTO. Now let's talk about the price. For 2-room flexi, Berlayar Residences will offer price from $218,000 up to $369,000. For 3-room, the price will start at $420,000 up to $562,000. If we compare the price with the nearby resale price for 3-room, actually the gap is more than $200,000, which is about 38%. For 4-room flat, the price will start from $578,000 to $788,000. Considering the nearby resale price can be up to $1,200 right now, you are looking at about 52% of price gap between the BTO price versus the potential resale price. Note that this project will come with 14% subsidy recovery aka clawback, which is unfortunately the highest in this October 2025 BTO launch. And because this project is classified as a prime project, do note that you will never be able to rent out the whole flat even after MOP. And there are a bunch of other restrictions like the 10-year MOP, and also you have an income ceiling for the future resale buyer, etc. So please take note of that. Now let's talk about the site plan. So this is the site plan for Berlayar Residences. So this color is 2-room flexi, and then this one yellow is the 4-room, and then green is the 3-room, and then the light yellow is the rental flats. So as you can see here, the preschool will be here, and then if we look at the facilities, these are basically children's playground as well as fitness corner. So it seems like if you pick like block 206A, unit 210 or 208, or these, it will face the preschool as well as the communal facilities, so it might be a bit noisy, so please take note of that. And then in terms of views, right, if we look at the map, unfortunately this part is reserved for future high-rise residential development, as well as this one also reserved for like high-rise residential development, aka your view will be blocked soon or later. So this one is reserved for park, so that's good. But then just across it, it will be another high-rise residential development. I think the key challenge with this particular site is that although it's part of the former Keppel Club area which is being transformed, but this particular plot is like at the back of the ocean, so it's quite far from the ocean. I've noticed that several people commented on my channel is that although right now the view may be unblocked and then you can see like ocean view, but in the future, who knows, especially if you already know that the sites around you are reserved for future high-rise residential development, so that is something to take note of. In terms of the number of lifts, it seems like it's still quite healthy. So 6 lifts for 8 units here. This one is 4 lifts for 8 units as well. And then in terms of number of stories, okay, let's look. So depending on which block, like some blocks would be up to level 45 or even 46. But then some is like 19 or 33. So just take note. So for example, like this one, this block 206A, it will go up to level 45. So it makes sense that it will be served by 6 lifts, whereas 206B, it will go up to level 33. then it will be supported with less amount of lifts. So I think that is okay. Unfortunately, in terms of the on-site facilities, as mentioned, it only has a preschool and then the standard playground and fitness corner, etc. I think HDB is planning to have more facilities in other projects, maybe surrounding this particular one, because I was initially expecting that this project should have like hawker center or maybe some supermarket or shops, etc. But it's not here. So maybe it will be on neighboring projects. So just please take note of that. Now, let's talk about the location. Okay, so this is the map that HDB gave. So if we check the comparables in Google Maps, this is it. So the road is not even built yet inside this area because it will still undergo the transformation, but I believe it's somewhere around here. So according to Google Map, it's about 350 meters to Teluk Blangah and about 650 meters to Labrador Park. But then again, both stations are part of the same MRT line, so it doesn't really matter. You probably just take the Teluk Blangah MRT and that would be it. As you can see, this is just an empty land plot right now. There's no amenities here and you would need to travel a little bit. So if you cross the highway, then there will be some eateries and then some shops as well. There's a food center over here and then some shops over there. And then got Alexander Retail Center over here. So there are some amenities, but you just have to travel a little bit more. So if you want more amenities, obviously you can just take the MRT to Harbourfront. It will just be like one stop away. In Harbourfront, of course, there will be more amenities because you have a mall there, and then you have food centers, a lot of shops, so that would be convenient. Because if you think about it, the key selling point of this project is the location, but not because of the mature amenities directly within walking distance. That's not it. It's more about the potential ocean view. As you can see, it's really quite near to the water, and then you also have nature on your doorstep. The Labrador Nature Reserve is here, and then you also have the Bukit Cermin Boardwalk, and Mount Faber is over here, and then of course obviously Sentosa is just quite nearby. Unfortunately, in Singapore, short-term rental in residential houses is not allowed, right? You can't just rent out your rooms for like 1 or 2 nights, because if it's allowed, gosh, you can just rent out to tourists because it's so near to the Sentosa Island. But again, it's not allowed, so don't do it. If you do it, you might get caught. Yeah, but Sentosa is just right over here. If we look at the plot, it is next to a highway, so that's watch out. There will be some blocks that will be very exposed to this highway, especially if your queue number is not so good and then you can only secure like low floor units or mid floor units, then you would get disturbed quite a lot with this highway, so that's a watch out. So in terms of school options, if I look at the map here, honestly there aren't many options, isn't it? You have the Blangah Rise Primary School over here, but then if we zoom out, there aren't many options nearby. So that is something to take note of, especially if you are a family with young children. You do have to realistically think, where do you want to send the kids to school? There are schools, but then it's just far away. But then again, of course, it can still be resolved with school buses or you take them there. So it's not that it doesn't have any solution. So limited school options, but then it's still doable. Okay, so what do I like about the project? Without a doubt, this project definitely has an extremely high resale value in the future, especially if you manage to secure high floor units that face the ocean directly. I feel like this project is kind of similar to Pinnacle at Duxton, where it is being set up for such a success that $1 million resale flats here is almost guaranteed in the future, and not only going to be an outlier, but it would be the norm here, especially for bigger flats. Yeah, not talking about 2-room flexi, but I'm talking about 4 rooms or even 3-room. I think can still be sold above $1 million in the future. The area itself feels kind of premium because it is near the waterfront. For day-to-day convenience, I do like that this development will be close to 2 MRT stations, so that's good. If you enjoy an active lifestyle, this place is near the Bukit boardwalk where you can jog to the ocean, so that's also good. This development also will have quite a lot of two-room flexi, so that would be a good news, especially for seniors and also first-timer singles. On the other hand, of course, there are some downside. Given the area is still on its very early stage of transformation, you do have to expect that there will be quite a lot of construction dust and noise for several years down the line from the surrounding areas. And then while the area is still being transformed, you would also have lack of amenities, so you need to travel for amenities. So that's the reality of this place. But there is one thing that I think would not be resolved with the transformation, which is the lack of school options for families, especially if you look at the map, right? There's not many primary school options within the 2 kilometer radius. It will be quite far. So that is the reality that you have to face. I'm not sure whether the government will build a primary school in the area. Let me know in the comment section down below if you know anything about this. And then the next watch out is that this project is actually located next to a highway, so certain blocks will be very prone to noise and dust, especially if you can only get low to mid floor. The entry price for this project is also on the higher side because I believe that other than looking at the high comparables around the area, the government is also considering what is the potential of the resale value down the line, right? So the entry price is definitely on the higher side. And of course, it's never fun to get slapped with 10-year MOP and then very strict restrictions in terms of not being able to rent out the whole flat even after MOP, etc. And don't forget that your future resale buyers will also be subjected to income ceiling, which does limit the potential resale value down the line, even though realistically there will always be some family with plenty of cash, right? Either they inherited it or they recently sold their landed house or something. There will always be somebody with plenty of cash, in my opinion, but it does limit your potential buyers. Now let's talk about the ballot risk because as I mentioned, there are 2 projects in Bukit Merah for October. So Keppel or Berlayar Creek BTO and the other one which is Redhill Close BTO. The other project is actually not bad. It's probably even more convenient for day-to-day life. But if you are so adamant that you just strictly want a Keppel only, there's actually one trick that you can do, which is to apply for 3-room flat. Why? Because if we look at the lineup, the other project, Redhill Close, they will offer 2-room flexi and 4-room, while this Keppel Berlayar Creek BTO is offering 2-room flexi, 3-room and 4-room flats. So, meaning that if you apply for 3-room Bukit Merah, then for sure you are only targeting to ballot just for Keppel. When this video is being recorded, there are already 3-room flats in Singapore that are being sold above $900,000. So if we are thinking about this Keppel Berlayar Creek BTO, let's say 15 years down the line, I'm pretty sure you will be able to get above $1 million for 3-room flat here, as long as it's on high floors and have good facing. So if you are approaching this from a very pragmatic approach, 3-room might be a potential, especially if you don't require such a big flat and then you just want to focus to get a unit at Keppel here, and then after MOP you flip it and then you move on with your life. 3-room might be a choice because then you don't have to worry about the risk of having to pick Redhill Close if your queue number is not so good. In summary, I think this project is a good option, especially for those who see BTO as a stepping stone in their property journey, because if you are lucky enough to get the right unit, you are in a position to profit a lot. In terms of targeted audience, somehow I feel that this project would be more suitable for singles or couples without kids. For families, I think the lack of nearby school options is going to be a real challenge. For seniors, well, it depends on your health condition. Because if you live here, the reality is you do have to travel a bit to get amenities and to go to health facilities. So all in all, I predict this project will be popular, but I don't think it will get the highest application rate among the October BTO lineup. Why? Because I think there will be some applicants who thinks like me and prioritize more on the day-to-day life conveniences, especially if you're talking about the long haul, right? 10 years, 15 years, that's not a short time at all. I think Bishan BTO would actually get a higher application rate versus this project. Let's talk about Mount Pleasant Crest. This BTO is located along Mount Pleasant Avenue, bounded by Old Police Academy Road and Wong Chin Yok Road. The word crest in the project reflects both the historic Old Police Academy grounds and the distinguished legacy of the Singapore Police Force that once trained here. The project comprises 4 residential blocks, including 1 block dedicated to rental flats. The remaining 3 blocks, each standing at 40, 45, and 46 stories, will offer 1,348 units of 2-room flexi, 3-room and 4-room flats, where 2 of these blocks will include 26 rental flats each. This project will also offer a new wide flats layout for 3-room and 4-room flats, providing flat buyers with greater flexibility to configure their living spaces within the flat. In terms of on-site facilities, this project will have a preschool, an eating house, supermarket, several shops, and residents network center. Residents can also enjoy a variety of recreational facilities such as playgrounds, fitness stations, and a hard court. There will also be 2 sky terraces on level 37 and level 34 of several blocks, providing scenic views of the surroundings. In terms of the classification, as expected, this project is categorized as prime flats, which comes with 10-year MOP as well as other strict rules. In terms of estimated waiting time, unfortunately, this project will only be completed after 59 months, which is the longest waiting time for a BTO in this October launch. Please also note that this project comes with 12% subsidy recovery or subsidy clawback. Now let's talk about the site plan. So this is the site plan for Mount Pleasant Crest. So just to give some information in terms of the colors, so this kind of pinkish color is the 2-room flexi. This one, the bright yellow, is 4-room, green is 3-room, and then the light yellow is the rental flats. Now, for Mount Pleasant Crest, there are several blocks where it is combined between the rental flat and the 2-room flexi, which is this one, number 169, and then number 123. You can see the legend actually on the right side. See, when you see the combination color between pink and yellow, that indicates that basically some floors are dedicated to rental flats. The supermarket, eating house, etc. is basically here under block 105. And if you are wondering, because this is Mount Pleasant Crest, right? Which one is facing the cemetery? Okay, let's look at the other map. Okay, so if we look at this map, basically Bukit Brown Cemetery is here and then Kopi Sua Cemetery is here. So this is the same plot, meaning the part that will have the view of the cemetery would be this part basically. But having said that, it seems like for the site plan of Mount Pleasant Crest, there's no perfect block per se, because again, this block 105A, like some of the units will face the cemeteries. Personally, I don't have any problem with that, but I know that a lot of people has concerns, so that's why I am explaining it. And then for block 100A, again, as mentioned, unit 123 is basically a mix between rental flats and BTO units, as well as 104A also has mixed situation here for stack 169. And then this block 101A is purely for rental flats. I kind of feel bad for them because it's, some units will face the bin center directly. If we look at the number of stories, it varies for different blocks, but they are quite high. So for example, like block 100A is up to level 46, block 104A is up to level 45, etc. And why is this important to know is because we want to know whether the number of lifts is still adequate or not. So if we are going back to this site plan, so the number of lifts seems a lot. So for example, this one is 6, this one is 9. It seems a lot, but then if you notice how many units will be served by those lifts, as well as how tall the towers would be, the proportion between lifts and number of units seems to be very tight, shall I say. Another thing that we need to consider is that if let's say you are lucky enough to get a queue number and then it come the time for you to pick your unit, notice that with this layout there are quite a lot of units where if let's say you are in the kitchen, like people might see you from the walkway, so that is something to take note of. As much as possible, of course, you would want to get the corner unit. In terms of exposure to expressway, looking at the map, actually, the expressway is not that close. Most of the blocks will have some distance to the expressway, so that's good. However, as far as I remember, I think this Thompson Road is still quite busy. So that is something to take note of if you are interested to apply for Mount Pleasant Crest. Now let's talk about the pricing. For 2-room flexi, the price ranges from $209,000 to $373,000, and then for 3-room, the price starts at $411,000 to $552,000, which is actually quite good if you consider the nearby resale price is already like reaching $850,000 as we speak right now. You can imagine that the price will most probably continue to increase over the next 10 to 15 years or so. So if we compare between the resale price versus the BTO price, the gap is about 54% for 3-room flat. And then for 4-room flats, the price starts from $558,000 to $787,000. But then the nearby resale price is already well beyond $1 million. Again, the gap is about 50+%. So that's very good. As a reminder, because Mount Pleasant Crest is a prime flat, there is a subsidy recovery which is defined at 12% regarding the waiting time. Unfortunately, this project is the longest to complete from all the projects in October 2025 BTO launch. It will take about 59 months until this project is completed. So please take note of that if you are planning to apply for this project. Anyway, now let's talk about the location. Okay, so this is the map that HDB gave, and if we go to Google Map, I think this is the corresponding location. So it's about this part. So the famous cemetery that people kept mentioning is actually not exactly nearby. So it's around here. Yeah, it's not that close. The nearest MRT station is Mount Pleasant MRT station, which is about 300 meters, so definitely within walking distance. In terms of potential unblocked view, based on the map, I think if your floor level is high enough, you can get some unblocked view, because you see here, these are just greeneries, but then at the same time, it's cemetery as well. So it's this one and also this one are cemeteries, but then, I don't think the tombstone would be that obvious if you're high enough. I mean, that's just my personal opinion. Now, if you want more amenities as the area is still developing, you can easily go to payoh, which is this part, or you go to Balestier, which is this part. So it is quite near to amenities. Regarding expressway, we do have expressway right over here, but it's not directly side by side with the project itself. There is a couple of blocks distance, so hopefully that would reduce the potential noise that you might get. If you like outdoor activity, Makrichi Reservoir Park is just maybe a short bus ride away. So I think it's going to be convenient if you like jogging, or maybe a light hiking. In terms of healthcare facilities, Thompson Medical Center is over here, so that would be convenient if you are expecting a baby. And then on the other hand, Mount Alvernia Hospital is over here as well, so it's relatively quite close in my opinion, although not within walking distance obviously. What about school options? As you can see on the map, there are some options. The nearest school would be CHIJ Primary and also Secondary School, and then you also have Marymount Convent School, Raffles Girls School, etc. So there are some schooling options surrounding the area. For those of you who are a little bit nervous about the proximity to cemeteries, if you see on the map that HDB gave, Actually, this portion on the left is allocated to proposed health and medical care. If we see the Google map, so the BTO would be somewhere around here, right? And then, and the cemetery is here and then here. So what will be closer to the cemetery is actually the healthcare facility. Hopefully that is comforting for some of you who still feels unsettled with the proximity to several cemeteries. Okay, so what do I like about the project? I like that you can walk to the nearest MRT station, so that's good. And then in terms of on-site facilities, this is quite complete because you would have even supermarket, you would have several shops, an eating house, etc. So that's good. And remember that this project is located in Payoh town, so there are a lot of amenities nearby. For singles and seniors, I also appreciate that this project will have quite a lot of two-room flexi supply, so that's good. And for families, I think it will be a good selling point that you are going to be close to several popular schools as we have discussed. Even though the cemetery factor might play into it, but I do still believe that in the long run, this project still has a very high resale and rental value potential. Okay, on the other hand, what don't I like about this project? I think the fact that this project is sort of nearby two cemeteries, it will have an impact at least to some potential buyers in the future. I know that some people argue that even like Bidadari, Ang Mo Kio used to be a graveyard as well, but I think the difference with Mount Pleasant BTO is that you can still see the graveyard, so you can still see it, and I think that's part of the challenge with this project, but personally it would not be a showstopper for me. And then of course, given that the area is still being transformed, you should expect to experience construction dust and noise from the surrounding developments, at least probably 5 to 10 years down the line, maybe, hopefully not as long as that. Another thing about this project is that the entry price is on the higher side because of the high comparable surrounding the area, so that kind of sucks, but that's the reality. And then the restrictions will be quite strict, but then that is what you can expect nowadays with Plus and Prime project. It is the reality. But in summary, for me personally, this project is still very good. It ticks a lot of boxes like distance to MRT station, schooling options, on-site facilities, mature amenities, etc. This project is quite solid. I think the watch out would be just the proximity to cemeteries. If you want to look at it from a positive angle, the application rate for this project probably would not be as high compared to if there are no cemeteries nearby. So if you don't mind with the fact that it's near some graveyards, I think you should consider this project very strongly. All in all, this particular project is one of my favorites. Now let's talk about Redhill Peaks BTO. Bounded by Redhill Close and Jalan Bukit Merah, Redhill Peaks BTO enjoys a prime location near the Redhill MRT station and amenities such as Bukit Merah Town Center and Redhill Market and Food Center. It has 3 blocks and it's quite tall because the tallest floor would be level 40 and level 49, and in total it will have 1021 units of 2-room flexi and 4-room flats, so there's no like 3-room or 5-room flats here. This project is categorized as prime flats and will have 12% subsidy recovery rate. Please note that this project is also located in the same town with the Berlayar residences at Keppel, which means that if you apply for Bukit Merah town, you could either get the Berlayar Residences BTO or this Redhill Peaks BTO depending on your queue number and what's still available when you are being called to select your unit. And just FYI, that seems like a lot of people are more excited about the Berlayar Residences BTO and then people are not so excited about Redhill Peaks. But when I look at the lineup for February 2026, actually, another location near this site will be offered, and in February 2026, that site will be one of the top star. So what I'm trying to say is, although Redhill Peaks doesn't get a lot of attention in this October 2025 BTO launch because simply there are a lot of better options, but this project is actually quite good because it is within walking distance to Redhill MRT station and it is located in a mature town where you still have some school options if you have young children. In terms of the on-site facilities, this project will only have a preschool, but again, it is located in a mature area so that you can just walk nearby if you need to go to hawker center or things like that. There will also be sky terraces located on the 39th floor of block 145A and 144B, and on the 19th floor and also 39th floor of block 144A. This will provide residents with scenic views of the surrounding cityscape. In terms of waiting time, unfortunately, this project will take about 53 months to develop, which is one of the slowest. But I noticed that's the trend. It seems like if you want the keys faster, then you would need to apply for non-mature areas, except for Pingy Court at Bedok. Now let's talk about pricing. So for 2-room flexi, the price starts at $183,000 to $359,000, which is, I think, a reasonable entry price. And then for 4-room flat, the price, because it's heavily subsidized, will start at $541,000 and it will go up to $778,000. If we look at the nearby resale price for comparables, the resale price is already up to $1.2 million, and you can imagine that it will even be higher in 10 to 15 years from now. As it is, the gap between BTO price versus nearby resale is more than $400,000, which translates to around 54%. So it seems like although this project has a 12% subsidy recovery clawback, owners of the flats here still stands a chance to pocket a very healthy amount of profit in the future if they decide to sell their unit after MOP. But just note that because this project is classified as prime, you will never be able to rent out the whole flat even after MOP. So please take note of that. Now let's talk about the site plan. So this is the site plan for Redhill Peaks. So this site is quite a busy street, so I appreciate that HDB built the multi-story car park here so that the residents doesn't get exposed directly to the busy street, so that's good. At the moment, this plot is empty, but it is reserved for future high-rise residential development, another HDB. In terms of the color legend, this yellow color is 4-room flat, and then this peach pinkish color is 2-room flexi. For Redhill Peaks, there is no rental flats at all. In terms of lift ratio, if we look at block 144A and also 144B, there will be 6 lifts serving 8 stacks. But for block 145A, notice that there will also be 6 lifts, but there are more stacks. There will be 9 stacks, so this will be a bit crowded, especially during peak hours, so please take note of that. In terms of the view, so this right side is already another HDB, and then this is also like already developed. Again, because this is a mature town, then almost 360 degrees are already surrounded by high-rise development. Well, probably except for this part, you will overlook the Gan En Seng Primary School as well as a Chinese temple. But then again, note that there will be another HDB to be developed here very soon. So yeah, so unfortunately for this particular project, seems like it doesn't really have any option for unblocked view. Now let's talk about the location. So this is the map that HDB gave. So if we look in Google Maps, I think this is the comparable location. So it's this giant land plot. So initially I thought they would build a BTO here completely. That's why it can fit over 1,000 flats. But apparently, upon closer look, when comparing the marking here, it's not even going to be the full land plot here. It seems like the BTO of Redhill Close will only use some of this plot, but not the whole thing. So only on the bottom part. So it seems like they are saving the balanced land, which is on the top, probably for future BTO. So that's interesting. So the location of this land plot is a little bit on the quieter side of Bukit Merah, I would say, because this part and this part is just like a small road. Only this one, Jalan Bukit Merah, is busier, so it will be noisier. But other than that, this is more like a quieter side of Bukit Merah, facing another HDB complex on this side. Now you might be wondering where is the nearest MRT station. So it's just over here, Redhill. So I checked using Google Maps before, and it's around 650 meters to Redhill MRT station. So I think it's definitely still walkable. It's not that far in my opinion. In terms of amenities, you have the Redhill market just over here, and there's also some hawker centers. And of course, near the Redhill MRT station itself, you have a lot of small shops, clinics, etc. There are actually quite a lot of eateries around here as well, around the Jalan Bukit Merah, and also got some clinics, got some McDonald's. So there are plenty of amenities definitely around the area. So if I zoomed in a little bit, you see Bukit Merah Town Center is over here, and then you have bunch of cafes, shops, TCM, etc. So definitely quite a lot of amenities. If you like to exercise, there's a gym over here. It is also equipped with swimming pool, is it? I'm not so sure whether it's part of the gym, honestly. But then we also have Active SG just around here. So it is within walking distance from this Redhill Close BTO. If you are religious, there's a temple over here, and then there's a mosque over here. So it's not that far. And then I believe there are some churches as well. But then I think as far as I know, the churches is a bit far, which is around this area. So probably you would need to take a bus to go to that church. For parents, there are several options to send your kids to school. You have the Gan Eng Seng Primary School here. You have the Bukit Merah Secondary School there. So other than the two schools I've mentioned, there's another primary school over here, another school over here again. So there are some options. So you also have the Queenstown Secondary School and also Crescent Girls School. Now, if you don't want to walk all over to Redhill MRT station, if you see the Jalan Bukit Merah is actually a main road. So you can also take buses here. As you can see, there are quite a lot of bus stops over here. So I think it will be easy for you to commute. In terms of the view, realistically, because it is a mature town, we don't see much of empty land plots, right? So most likely you will just face another tower or you will face another building. So for example, these are just another HDB complex. I think these are also high-rise buildings. The only facing that I think can have some sort of unblocked view, especially for high floors, probably would be the one facing the Gan Eng Seng Primary School. So over here, probably you'll have some unblocked views if you have like high floor units. For those of you who are driving, the expressway is just over here. But as you can see from the map, the land plot itself is not directly next to the expressway. So hopefully it would not be so noisy, especially at night. Overall, I think the location is actually quite good. As long as you don't expect any ocean view or something like that, like you might get at Keppel BTO. But I think overall, this is actually a solid option in my opinion, especially if you have a family and you prefer to have convenience for day-to-day activities. So overall, what do I think about this project? Honestly, I was surprised that HDB released this spot, given that back in July, we just had two Bukit Merah BTO, and then in October, Keppel is already scheduled to be as part of the lineup, which is technically Bukit Merah as well. So I am surprised that HDB released another Bukit Merah location again. At first, when I saw the lineup, this particular BTO did feel like a trap at the beginning, because if somebody bid for Bukit Merah, then they could either get Keppel or Redhill Close, depending on their queue number, of course. But then upon closer look, to me, this is not exactly a trap, but it's just another option. Objectively, I think Redhill Close is actually more sustainable for families because of its proximity to schools as well as amenities, and it's also more convenient for day-to-day life in my opinion, even though yes, you would not see ocean every day, but this is more convenient in my opinion. So what do I like about the project? I do appreciate that you can still walk to MRT station, even though admittedly it's a bit of a mid-distance. 650 meters is not that close, but I think it's still doable. I also appreciate that it has mature amenities, even though on site it will only have a preschool, but then surrounding the area you have Redhill Market and Food Center, you have a lot of shops, you have Active SG, swimming pool and gym, and then overall the area feels mature. And then you also have several school options, so that's good for families. In terms of resale and rental possibilities, I have no doubt. I think it will be very competitive, especially because surrounding the land plot are actually like older HDBs. So definitely you have a higher edge if one day you want to resell the flat or you want to rent out rooms. I think it's very much doable. And I also appreciate the fact that it has a lot of two-room flexi supply, which I believe would be very helpful, especially for seniors as well as first-timer singles. So I think that's good. On the other hand, what don't I like about the project? Well, the entry price is on the higher side, of course, compared to like other project in this October BTO launch, right? We cannot compare it with Yishun or cannot compare it with Sengkang. So it's definitely not a budget option. And then, of course, I also don't like the fact that this project will get slapped with the 10-year MOP and very strict restrictions. That's not fun in any way. Another cons would probably be high competition, because I am anticipating many people would apply for Bukit Merah town predominantly because keppel BTO is being offered, but then it also has a spillover to the application rate for this project as well, right? Because it's located in the same town. So expect the competition to be on a higher side. The application rate would definitely be higher versus if there's no keppel at all. Because I think if in Bukit Merah town, there's only this Redhill close BTO and then there's no keppel at all, I think the application rate would probably be lower, maybe somewhere around 2 point something, so similar with Alexandra Vista and Alexandra Peaks that were launched back in July. But I think overall, objectively, personally, I think this is a solid option. Let's talk about Bishan Terraces BTO. Bounded by Bishan Street 12 and Guangyang Secondary School, this BTO comprises of two residential blocks of 38-story high, with 538 units of 2-room flexi, 3-room, and 4-room flats. There will also be 50 rental flats across the two blocks. These flats will be offered as prime flats under the new flat classification framework and comes with 10% subsidy recovery rate, aka subsidy clawback. In terms of on-site facilities, this project will have a preschool and also a kidney dialysis center. And of course, as usual, this BTO will also have like playgrounds, fitness corners, sitting areas, etc. There will also be a landscape roof garden on top of the multi-story car park, which will provide additional space for relaxation, fitness facilities, and also a community gardening area. In terms of waiting time, this project is about 47 months in terms of waiting time, which is not the fastest but not the longest either. Now let's talk about the pricing. For 2-room flexi, the price starts from $229,000, whereas for 3-room, the price will start from $408,000 to $516,000. The 2-room flexi sounds a bit expensive, but then the 3-room I think is reasonable. For 4-room flat, the price will start from $543,000 and it goes up to $735,000 for higher floors. If we look at nearby resale flat price, it ranges from $780,000 to just under $1 million, which means that the gap between BTO price versus the resale of nearby flats is about $200,000 something, which translates to 28%, which is not that big of a margin if we look at other prime flats that is being offered in this October 2025 BTO launch. And again, as mentioned, the subsidy recovery rate for this project is 10%. Now let's look at the site plan. So this is the site plan for Bishan Terraces BTO. It's quite simple. They only have 2 blocks, where the highest level is level 38. In terms of the legend, let's discuss first. So this bright yellow is 4-room, and then this pinkish color or peach color is 2-room flexi, and then the green one is a 3-room flat. If you see this mix between peach and yellow, this is basically rental flats combined with BTO for sale as well. So you can see at the legend here, basically for this peach bordered with yellow color, it's rental flat for certain level, but then it's 2-room flexi for other levels. So please take note of that. In terms of the lift ratio, at a glance, it looks kind of healthy for me. So it will be served by 6 lifts for 8 stacks. So I think that's quite reasonable. In terms of the view, unfortunately, because this is a mature town, I think wherever you see it's already surrounded by other blocks, which means you will have block views. The only exception would be probably for some units at block 100B, because Guangyang Secondary School is a low-rise building. So at least if you have units that is facing this side, you will have sort of unblocked view for a little bit. In terms of the on-site facilities, as mentioned, this project actually doesn't have much. It only has a preschool and kidney dialysis center. So the preschool is here, and this middle part, number 1 to 3, is basically the communal facilities such as the playground, fitness corner, etc. So if let's say you prefer a quiet facing, do note that this part might be a little bit noisy throughout the day. The kidney dialysis center itself is here, number 7. Now let's talk about the location. Okay, so this is the map that HDB gave. If we look at the Google map, I think the comparable area is actually this one. Currently, there is this low-rise building over here. Probably it will get torn down or something. If you are wondering where is the nearest MRT station, so it's here. So according to Google map, it's about 650 meters. So you just walk several blocks. I think it's still doable, but it's up to you. Probably some people would be more comfortable to take a short bus ride. That's also possible. In terms of view, I think it's difficult because the plot is surrounded by high-rise building, other residential buildings. So I think the only chance that you would get is if you have a flat that is facing this football field. Probably that's it, because other section you see this is high-rise building. This is also another HDB complex. So indeed, this is not a place where you apply if you want to get like scenic view. Definitely there's no ocean view or things like that around here. In terms of amenities, as mentioned, Junction 8 Mall is just over here, and then around that area there are quite a lot of shops, so it should be very convenient, like if you want to go to the clinic or to the dentist. So as you can see, Bishan Public Library is here, CPF Bishan building is here, also got community club. Besides the MRT station, you also have the big Bishan bus interchange, so that should be very convenient. In terms of school options, as you can see, there are quite a lot of school options at different level: secondary school, primary school, junior college, etc. So I am guessing that would be a very important factor for families in consideration when they want to apply to this particular BTO. In terms of the noise level, if we look at this is just like a small road. It's not so big, so I think it should not be too noisy. And then other than that, the area is pretty much already built, so I don't think we need to worry so much about potential construction noises, which is different versus if you apply for a BTO in Mount Pleasant or in Keppel, right? Because those areas are still being transformed, but this one is already pretty much built, so we don't have anything to worry so much about a noise factor. Okay, so what do I think about the project? What I like about it is that it is still within walking distance to the MRT station, even though I think some people would say that it's a little bit far. But I think 650 meters is still okay lah, especially because around the area there are a lot of shops, got malls, supermarket, etc. So it should not feel that long of a walk, in my opinion. And I also appreciate that it is Bishan MRT station, so if you work in the CBD area, it should be an easy commute to work. I also like that there are a lot of amenities within walking distance. You can go to the mall, there are plenty of shops, even public library, or you can even cycle or jog in the Bishan Ang Mo Kio Park nearby. So quite convenient. There are also a lot of good school options for families. And in terms of resale potential and also rental value potential, I think there's no doubt lah. This would definitely be a $1 million resale flat producer in the future. And then if you want to rent out rooms, should be very easy as well. And then if you have a health condition, you would have a kidney dialysis center on the site, so that should be helpful for the family as well. On the other hand, what don't I like about the project? Well, honestly, it's a bit difficult to find the fault for this particular project because it does have a lot of genuine strong points. What I probably could be critical of would be the high entry price. But then again, due to the high comparable resale transaction prices nearby, you definitely cannot compare the prices in Bishan BTO with Fernvale at Sengkang or with Yishun project, right? Definitely this one is not a budget option. And then I also don't like the fact that this project would have a very limited two-room flexi, especially for first-timer singles, because if you do the math, even though the project has around 130 units of two-room flexi, but then 100 of them will be allocated to seniors, only 65% of the balance would be allocated to first-timer singles, which translates about 20 units only. So I don't recommend singles to apply here because the competition rate would be definitely sky high. So don't apply unless you are feeling super lucky. And then speaking about competition, I am guessing this is one of those projects that will be ultra competitive. I am predicting that even 3-room will be oversubscribed in this project. So typically, if a project is slapped with a 10-year MOP, 3-room is on the lower side in terms of application rate. That is the typical scenario, but for this project, because of the location is very appealing, I'm guessing even 3-room would be oversubscribed. I mean, obviously for other flat types, the 2-room flexi and also 4-room, for sure it will be oversubscribed as well. It's just a matter of what is the exact number. Overall, I think this project is a solid choice. Personally, if I'm on the market to apply for a BTO, this would be one of the top contender in my opinion. Let's talk about Oakville at Ang Mo Kio. This project has 1,425 units of 2-room flexi, 3-room and also 4-room flats spread across 6 residential blocks ranging from 21 to 24 stories high. Surprisingly, this project is actually classified as a plus flat. Why I'm saying it's a surprise, it's because Pingi Court at Bedok is also located in a mature town, but it's also far away from MRT station, and that project got a standard while this one got a plus, so that was interesting. And because this project is a plus, note that there is a 7% subsidy recovery rate if you want to sell your unit in the future after MOP. In terms of the on-site facilities, this project actually quite good. It has a preschool, an eating house, supermarket, and it will also have 4 shops. So that's good. In terms of waiting time, this project will have about 49 months of estimated waiting time. This is not the slowest, but not the fastest either. So this is like somewhere in the middle. Now let's talk about the pricing. So for 2-room flexi, the price starts from just under $200,000 and goes up to $300,000. And then for 3-room, the price starts at $340,000 to $434,000. If we look at nearby resale price, it's actually already up to under $800,000. So you're looking at a very healthy potential margin, assuming the market continues to grow. So, in 10 to 15 years, the price most likely will continue to climb, and then the owner here stands a chance to sell their unit at a very healthy profit. So similarly for 4-room, the price will start at $514,000 up to $650,000. To be fair, the price is quite good actually, considering that this is a mature town. The nearby resale price is already beyond $1.1 million. So you're looking at a gap between BTO and resale price of about 75%. So that's very good. It makes the 7% subsidy recovery pale in comparison. So yeah, I think the only catch is the very strict restrictions of a plus project, right? Besides the 10-year MOP, you also cannot rent out your whole flat even beyond MOP. So that is a concern, and then your buyer will be subjected to income ceiling, cannot sell to PR couples, etc. Now let's talk about the site plan. So this is the site plan for Oakville. It's a huge project indeed. The yellow color is 4-room flat, green is 3-room, and this peach is basically 2-room flexi. And then for Oakville, there is no rental flats. In terms of number of stories, it's slightly different for each block, but basically ranging from 21 to 24. So I think that's good. It's not too high, it's not too low either. In terms of the surrounding, as we can see on the south, this is Ang Mo Kio Avenue 5, so this is already a major street. There's another street that is still under construction here, Ang Mo Kio Street 81. And then you will face Nanyang Polytechnic on that side. And then on the east side, you have other public housing, which is under construction, so this will also be block few. Probably the low-rise view would be this one. So this side is reserved for school. So which means that if you got a mid-floor or high-floor unit, you should have like unblocked view. And the next one is reserved for park. So it seems like the stacks facing Ang Mo Kio Street 82 would be your best bet if you would like to have a little bit of unblocked view. Now if we zoom in, it seems like for block 802A, there will be 4 lifts serving 12 units. And then for block 800A, there are 9 stacks being served by 3 lifts. I think it's still quite okay, considering that the towers here only goes up to like level 20 something. So I think this is still okay. Probably would have been better if they have like, I don't know, 6 lifts or something, but I guess lifts are very expensive as far as I understand it. What I like about this development is actually probably because the land plot is big, the gap between different towers is actually quite good. So as you can see, between 802B and 804A, you know, the distance is quite good from one block to another, so that's good. It doesn't feel too cramped. And having a lot of units like this is also good, because if let's say in the future you want to sell your unit, there should be a healthy amount of transaction, which can be a good benchmark for you to sell your flat later on. If you're wondering where is the multi-story car park, it's basically over here. There will be some commercial facilities at the first story, and then as usual, the roof garden will be accessible as well. Now let's talk about the location. Okay, so this is the map that HDB gave. So if we look in Google Maps, I think this is the land plot, which is close to ITE. Initially, I thought the land plot would be this whole big patch. That's why it can accommodate over 1,400 units. But then apparently not. Upon closer look, the land plot is just this part, which means that if you see this, there are actually quite a lot of room to grow. So I suspect in the future, there will be other BTOs, probably condos as well to be built here. So the area itself is indeed surrounded by schools. So you have ITE here, you have Anderson Secondary School here, and then you have SIT here, Nanyang Polytechnic is here, so quite a lot of schools. If you are wondering where is the nearest MRT station, it's Yio Chu Kang, and according to Google Map, this is about 1.1 kilometer. So probably on the map it doesn't look that far, but it's quite far. I think you would need to take a bus to go there. If you are wondering where is Ang Mo Kio, so Ang Mo Kio is over here. So it's even further away, but it is located somewhere between Yio Chu Kang and Ang Mo Kio. But then to either location, you would need to take a bus or private vehicle. I went ahead and checked like how many buses actually pass this road, because indeed we cannot deny the location is quite remote, right? And apparently there are at least 4 to 5 buses that seems to be going through this passage. So I think even though the location is a little bit far from MRT station, hopefully if there are quite a lot of bus choices, hopefully your waiting time would not be so long lah. In terms of amenities, as mentioned, the on-site facilities will include an eating house, a supermarket, several shops, etc. But then if you want to eat, you can alternatively go to the ITE college as well, because there are some eateries there. And then around these HDB blocks, on the ground floor, usually there are many small shops as well, right? Some of them are eateries as well, so you can go there. If you like to exercise, there's an active SG gym here and also swimming pool, but it's again nearer to Yio Chu Kang area. Got Yio Chu Kang Stadium there as well. Alternatively, you also have the Chengsan Market here and food center. Of course, no need to mention there are plenty of amenities around the Ang Mo Kio area, so that's good. So in terms of schooling options, across the street there will be Anderson Secondary School, and then other than that there are other schools as well. This one is a primary school. This one is, as we mentioned, ITE College, and then also got Anderson Serangoon Junior College, Nanyang Polytechnic, etc. So there are quite a lot of schools nearby. You have this Mayflower Primary School, Anderson Primary School, etc. So there are quite a lot of schools, so it's suitable for families. Regarding expressway, there is an expressway here, but then again, the BTO would be located here. So it's actually still quite a distance, so I don't think you would be too bothered by the central expressway here. What is probably more troublesome is the construction noises once this area is starting to be built. So I don't know how many years would they need to complete the transformation of this area, so that's a big watch out. Okay, so what do I like about the project? I love that this project has great on-site facilities, because not every project would have a supermarket, an eating house, several shops, etc. And I also like the fact that this is a mega project, over 1,400 units, so you should have a lot of resale transaction prices in the future, which you can use as benchmark, and typically this can help to get a better price when you try to sell your flat after MOP. There is also plenty of two-room flexi supply for seniors and first-timer singles, so hopefully that could help this particular segment of the population. And I also like, in general, Ang Mo Kio has a lot of school options at various level, so this is going to be quite sustainable for families. And of course, Ang Mo Kio being a mature town, it actually has a lot of amenities, even though you probably would need to take a bus ride or ride a bicycle or something, but at least it's a mature town. You are not like in the middle of nowhere. Another benefit that I can see from this project is that this might end up to be one of those projects that has a moderate level of competition level. Why do I say that? Well, because even though it's in a mature town, but then the location is a little bit remote, you would need to rely on buses, and not everybody likes that. This project could end up having low to moderate competition, which will be great news for those who have been struggling to try to secure a flat. Okay, but on the other side, indeed, we cannot escape the downside, which is it is objectively far from MRT station. Yes, you can take a bus, but then realistically, right, you know, bus, sometimes you wait for 2 minutes, sometimes you wait for 10 minutes plus. It's quite unpredictable. Alternatively, of course, you can always have a private vehicle, but then understandably it's not ideal. Another downside that I initially wasn't aware of is that this particular area is actually still undergoing a transformation. So if you see on the map, actually there are some roads that are not even built yet in this area, and seems like in the future there will still be other BTOs, probably condos, I don't know, but there are still a lot of unoccupied land plot, which means that you might need to deal with construction noises and also dust for several years to come. And of course, having this project to have 10-year MOP is a little bit harsh, if I may say so, because the area is still undergoing transformation. It's far from MRT station. It is in a mature town, but then again, yeah, I personally feel that it would be making better sense if this project is categorized as a standard, but yeah, realistically it's not. So in summary, I think it is quite rare to have a mega project in a mature town. So this is definitely one of those chances that you can consider, especially if you have been struggling to secure a BTO after several attempts. This project also has great on-site facilities, which will be helpful for your day-to-day activities. If you are okay to rely on feeder buses or have your own private vehicle, this BTO definitely can be one of your options. Historically, Ang Mo Kio application rate can be hit or miss depending on proximity to MRT station. So like what I mentioned before, this project could end up being one of those projects that has low to moderate level of competition, especially for those looking for two-room flexi, you should take a look at this project even closer, because this is one of those projects that has a lot of two-room flexi supplies, around 430, so that's actually quite generous. Overall, among the BTO lineup for October, I would put this project probably somewhere in the middle. It's not my favorite, but it's not the worst either. That's how I'm going to put it. But again, at the end of the day, it's up to you, depending on your family situation, financial situation, etc. Now let's talk about Pingy Court. Nestled along Chai Chee Street, this project comprises 5 residential blocks of 15 stories each, with 862 units of 2-room flexi, 3-room, 4-room, 5-room, and even 3-gen flats. And surprisingly, these flats will be offered as standard flats. I mean, a lot of people were thinking that it could possibly be a plus because it's located in a mature town, but no, apparently it's a standard. It seems like the tips that I got from one of the audience here, it seems like as long as the project has like 5-room or 3-gen flats, then most likely that's a standard project. Apparently that tip is true. Another thing to note about this project is that the waiting time is pretty fast, only about 33 months, which makes this project the only mature town project with shorter waiting time, because the other 3 flat in this October 2025 BTO that has shorter waiting time, all of them are in like non-mature areas, but only Pingy Court has this waiting time of 33 months. And because Pingy Court is only a standard project, meaning there's no subsidy clawback, and I think this is really a puzzle for me personally, because Oakville at Ang Mo Kio is also located in a mature town, and it's also far away from MRT station, but that project got a plus and this one got a standard. So if you're looking for like a deal in mature town that still has a standard classification, this is it. In terms of on-site facilities, unfortunately, Pingy Court only has a preschool, so you would need to take a bus ride for more amenities, or you walk to neighboring HDB blocks, because there are some supermarket and shops in other development around the area. Now let's talk about the pricing. For 2-room flexi, the price starts from $201,000 up to $286,000. And then for 3-room, it starts from $353,000 to $448,000. If we compare it with the nearby resale price, the gap for 3-room is about 38%, which is not that big, but then again, we need to remember that Pingy Court is a standard flat, meaning it has less subsidy versus plus or prime flats. And then for 4-room flats, the price starts from just under $500,000. It goes up to $624,000. And then for 5-room, the price starts at $715,000 up to $857,000. Personally, when I look at this price, it's kind of astonishing, because the gap price between 4-room and 5-room is really significant. So as you can see, 4-room starts just under $500,000, but then 5-room starts beyond $700,000. So that's kind of wild. For 3-gen, the price starts from $782,000 to $874,000. Now let's talk about the site plan. So this is the site plan for Pingy Court. It's quite a huge development because it has like 862 units. Okay, so peach for 2-room flexi, green for 3-room, yellow for 4-room, and then this is like a kind of like orangey color for 5-room, and then gray for 3-gen. And there's no rental flats for this particular development. In terms of the height, all of the blocks here stops at level 15. So it's not that tall, I think, because of height restriction in the area. Okay, now let's zoom in to see the lift ratio. So I counted there are like 18 stacks which will be sharing 3 lifts. I know that the level only goes up to like level 15 for this development. But then 18 stacks need to share like 3 lifts. It's kind of crazy, man. Like it sounds like it's a bit too tight. I don't know. Is it just me? Why don't you comment down below? Do you think this development has enough lift or not? Comment down below. And it's not just that block. Even block 811A, it is also sharing about 3 lifts for like 11 stacks. So indeed, it seems like for this development, the number of lifts is kind of limited. So please take note of that. In terms of the on-site facility, this project only has a preschool, which is basically under the multi-story car park here. And then in terms of the facing, this project is already surrounded by like buildings. Probably this one would be unblocked view because this one is a nursing home, but then the rest is like facing other buildings. Now let's talk about the location. Okay, so this is the map that HDB gave, and if we check on Google Maps, I believe that this is the land plot. So it will be just a portion of this giant land plot, so not the whole thing, but only like the upper part. If you are wondering where is the nearest MRT station, well, I had to zoom out because it's quite far. So it's actually between Bedok and Kembangan, but according to Google Map, you would be slightly closer to Bedok. But when I say close, I'm being generous because it's still about 1.5 kilometers, which means that you would need to rely on feeder buses or private vehicle. In terms of amenities within walking distance, it's kind of limited because there are some shops and clinics. So for example, you have clinics over here, and then you have HDB complex around here. I'm sure somewhere here got a mini market or supermarket somewhere. And then also here, you have some eateries over here, which is relatively quite close. It's about 1 or 2 blocks, right? So there are some options, but the reality is you would need to travel by bus to a more populated area like near Bedok MRT station or Kembangan MRT station for more amenities. That's why I'm actually confused why HDB will only build a preschool on the site, but maybe they are planning to have more amenities in future BTO project, because if you look at this map, right, as I mentioned, this Bedok BTO will only use the upper portion of this giant land plot, and then the vast majority is still empty. So most likely this will be future BTO sites as well. And then the land plot opposite it actually still empty as well. So it seems like this area is still under development. So maybe in the future there will be more facilities in future project sites. But then as an implication of that, do heads up that you might be disturbed by construction noise and dust for several years to come if indeed the area surrounding the plot will be eventually developed. So that's a watch out. Okay, now let's talk about schooling options. In terms of schooling options, I had to zoom out a little bit because I don't see any primary or secondary school within walking distance. But there are some, but quite far away. So you would need to either take bus or private vehicle or maybe school bus. So here you have the Teluk Kurau Primary School, and then you also have the Fengshan Primary School here. So, and then Damai Primary School is over here. So there are some options, but then objectively, it's kind of limited. Okay, so what do I like about this project? Well, I appreciate that this project has various flat types from 2-room flexi, 3-room, 4-room, 5-room, and even 3-gen. I also appreciate that this land plot is surrounded by low-rise buildings, so if you manage to get mid to high floor units, then you will be able to have unblocked view of the city landscape. I'm guessing that this project would get low to moderate competition level, so that's actually a good news for those who have been struggling to secure a BTO flat in a mature town. If you have your own private vehicle, it will be a short drive to central area or to Changi area. For parents, this location still have some school options even though it's limited, but at least it's not equal to 0. Okay, on the other hand, what are the downsides of this project that I'm seeing? I think first of all, we cannot run from the fact that this location is just far from any MRT station, whether right now or even in the future. You would just need to rely on feeder bus or private vehicle if you would like to search for amenities or probably commute to work or school. And unfortunately, there's not many amenities on site. I'm actually quite surprised that given the remote location of this land plot, they are only planning to have a preschool, so not even like a mini market or shops or anything like that. It's just a preschool, which is kind of surprising. My guess is that there's already an existing supermarket somewhere along the nearby HDB complex. So you just need to go there for amenities. And because of the remote location and also limited amenities, it will have some impact on resale and rental potential. So that's a watch out if you are planning to buy this as a stepping stone for your property journey. This would be a bit tough. Other than that, I'm also struggling with the high entry price. I understand that Bedok being a mature town, the nearby resale transaction tends to be on the higher side. But then again, this place is a little bit difficult to justify the price. So in summary, what do I think about this project? I think it looks good at a glance, but then when we double click, there's a lot of downsides. Even though it is located in a mature town, but the location is kinda in a hidden corner with very limited transport options, combined with the lack of amenities, lack of schooling options, and high entry price because of the high comparables. I am predicting that this project would be on the lower side in terms of application rate, and a sizable portion might ended up being in the future SBF. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Let's talk about Chencharu Grove. The project comprises of 6 residential blocks of 826 units of 2-room flexi, 3-room, 4-room, and 5-room flats. These will be offered as standard flats under the new classification with a shorter waiting time of less than 3 years. In addition, there will also be a single-room shared facilities rental block with 418 units and shared facilities within that block for the rental tenants. This project complements nearby developments such as Chencharu Hills and Chencharu Green. In terms of the on-site facilities, this project will only have a preschool, but then again, there are a lot of amenities within walking distance in nearby developments. In particular, residents can look forward to the upcoming mixed-use integrated development next to this project. A proposed hawker center will also be located on the ground level of the northern part of the development, fronting Block 969C and Block 971B. Now, let's talk about the pricing. Chencharu Grove is being positioned as one of the affordable options in the October 2025 BTO launch. For example, for 2-room flexi, the BTO price will start at $154,000, which is relatively affordable. And for 3-room, the price will start from $295,000 up to $535,000. For 4-room, the price will start at $358,000 to $660,000, while for 5-room, the price will start at $510,000 to $770,000. If we compare between BTO price versus the nearby resale price, actually for 2-room flexi and 4-room, the gap is quite attractive because for 2-room flexi, the difference is 67%, whereas for 4-room, the gap is 50%. For 3-room is slightly under, which is 48%, but still a very healthy margin if let's say you want to sell your unit after MOP. And again, because this project is a standard project, there is no subsidy clawback and you only is subjected to the standard 5-year MOP. And you can also rent out the whole flat after MOP. Now let's talk about the site plan. So this is the site plan for Chencharu Grove. It is quite a huge development because if we look at the total number of flats, as you can see, it's a mega project, more than 1,200 units if you consider the rental flats as well. So definitely it's very huge. Let's interpret the color first. So this one, the orange one is 5-room, yellow is 4-room, green is 3-room, and then the peach is 2-room flexi. Now, if you are wondering where is the rental flats, it's basically this one in light yellow. So the whole tower would be the rental flats that HDB was announcing. So as mentioned, unfortunately for this particular development, the on-site facility is only a preschool, but then the nearby developments have a lot of amenities within walking distance. So I think that's why they don't put additional amenities on site. So you can just walk to the next development. If you want unblocked view, I think you can opt for stacks that are facing this naval-based secondary school and paying primary school because, you know, schools are low-rise building. Because on the other side, as you can see, all high-rise building, another HDB, and then this one is the integrated development along with bus interchange. Yeah, I think just a watch out because, you know, bus interchange can be quite noisy and dusty as well. So just please take note. It seems like your best bet would be to pick a unit in basically these three blocks, 969A, 970A, or 970B if you manage to get a queue number. From the site plan, I was quite surprised because as you see, like this tower has so many units. Let's count. So for example, block 969A is basically serving 10 units per floor, and there's only like 2 lifts. I checked the unit mix. The towers here are only up to like level 12 or level 15, but still 2 lifts for 10 stacks is quite tight. And also for block 970A, same. So there are 10 units also served by 2 lifts. I wonder whether I read this site plan wrongly, but it seems like that is the case. So for block 970B, it seems like there will be 3 lifts instead, probably because it has a little bit more number of units. But still, it seems like the proportion between lifts and number of units here is a bit tight, so please take note of that. I think privacy might also be a challenge for this development, because as you see, there are plenty of like very lengthy corridors. Just based on my experience, usually if it's like this, you know, from certain angle, people can see from the walkway to your kitchen and laundry area. So that is something to take note of when you do your unit selection. Hopefully you can get a good queue number so you can pick ideal unit, but then that's the reality. Just the design, gosh, there are plenty of these very lengthy hallways, so please take note of that. The multi-story car park and the communal facilities like playground, fitness corners, etc. are basically mostly here. So please take note also, if let's say you prefer quiet facing, then probably not the ones facing the playground and fitness corner. Now let's talk about the location. Okay, so this is the map that HDB gave, and this is pretty much the location. As you can see, it's relatively nearby to the Khatib MRT station. According to Google Map, it's about 650 meters. So it's a little bit difficult to decide because the area is still under development. So the roads are not fully built yet. We don't know for sure. Even though the on-site facility is only a preschool, but if we see on the map, nearby there will be a proposed commercial and residential integrated development with bus interchange and hawker center. So that should be good to accommodate the residents here. Other than that, there are actually several other BTOs that were launched earlier, just only 1 or 2 years differences, where it will have more amenities as well. And compared with those other BTOs, actually this one that is being launched in October is already quite close to the MRT station compared to the other several projects earlier. Now, another thing that I want you to note from the map is that Sembawang Air Base is basically over here. I know that some people commented in this channel that Sembawang Air Base is not so noisy, but just take note, it's actually quite close. I don't know how noisy would it be, but I'm guessing there will be some noises from the airbase. So it depends on your tolerance level as well. Okay, now if we look at the Google map, basically this would be the location of the upcoming Chencharu BTO in October. So as you can see, it's quite close to the Khatib MRT station, especially if you can like walk across the complex here, so that should be closer. As you can see, the whole area is still being transformed, so you have to be mentally prepared with construction and also dust for several years to come. Now, in terms of amenities, actually near Khatib MRT station, there are some shops, of course, and then if you want some supermarket, Shengshong is over here. So I think it's still within walking distance. You also have NTUC Fair Price, so there are several options. In terms of healthcare facility, as you can see here, there's a polyclinic, Khatib Polyclinic. In terms of distance, it's actually still quite near, so that should be convenient, especially for young families who still have babies that needs vaccination regularly. And still about healthcare facilities, if let's say Khatib Polyclinic is not sufficient with what you need, actually if we look at this map, Yishun Community Hospital and also Kotek Puat Hospital is also relatively nearby. It's like a short bus ride away. If you want more amenities, of course you can always take the MRT or bus and venture out to Yishun MRT area, where you will be able to find the North Point City Mall. If you like active lifestyle, Active SG gym and swimming pool is over here. So I think you can take a short bus ride there. It's about 2 or 3 stops, so still relatively near. Regarding school options, clearly there are plenty of school options nearby. There are even 2 within walking distance. There are more within 2 kilometer radius, and the school is also available at different level, not only primary and secondary school, but also like junior college. You even have like special needs school. So I think this will be very convenient for families. Okay, so what do I like about this project? I like that this project seems to be still within walking distance to the MRT station. In fact, if we look at the map, it seems like this particular BTO would be closer to Khatib MRT station versus other BTO at Chencharu that were launched in past launches. I also appreciate that this is a budget-friendly option, so this would be good for families with limited budget. And I also like that this project has a good amount of 2-room flexi supply, which will be very helpful for seniors and also singles. Another thing that I like is that this project offers different flat types from 2-room flexi, 3-room, 4-room, and 5-room. So I think that's good for different applicants with different needs. The amount of schools nearby is also good for families, because then you would not be too worried about where to send your kids to school. And of course, having this BTO to be classified as a standard project makes it very easy for you to move on once you have hit the MOP. And on the other hand, what don't I like about this project? Well, I think ballot risk is something that you need to consider, because in October 2025 BTO launch, there are 2 projects in Yishun town. That means if you apply and you manage to get a queue number, you could either get a unit here or the other BTO project at Yishun Ring Road, which unfortunately the other project is further away from MRT station. Another thing to take note of is because the area is still under development, you cannot deny that there are a lot of construction dust and noise in the area for the time being, which also translate to the lack of amenities initially. Because Sembawang Air Base is relatively nearby, so you might hear some noise pollution from there as well. Another thing to note is because the HDB have launched several projects at Chencharu in the past several years. So when it's time for this project to be resold in the resale market, there will be quite a lot of competition, especially because the BTO will hit MOP pretty much back to back, so the age is pretty similar. So you will have a lot of competition when you want to resell the unit or when you want to rent out either rooms or the whole flat later on after MOP. In summary, I think this project is actually overall a good option if you like the Yishun area and you would like a BTO that is relatively near to the MRT station. Even though the north-south line is notorious for being very packed during peak hours, but at least you are going to have an easy commute, especially if you are working in the CBD area. And proximity to MRT station also translate to the easiness when it's time for you to sell this unit later on after MOP, or if you want to rent out rooms or rent out the whole flat later on. And for families, having a good amount of school options is also very convenient. So overall, this is actually quite a good option, especially if you have a limited budget and prefers to stay in Yishun area. Now let's talk about Yishun Glade. Bounded by Yishun Street 31 and Yishun Ring Road, Yishun Glade comprises of 4 residential blocks of 15 stories each with 569 units spread across 2-room flexi and 4-room flats. These flats will be offered as standard flats and will have a shorter waiting time of less than 3 years or 31 months to be exact. In terms of on-site facilities, this project will have a preschool and a senior care center. Now let's talk about the pricing. So for 2-room flexi, the price will start from $132,000 to $217,000. If we compare it with nearby resale prices, interestingly, actually, the price gap is about 74%, which is more than I would have expected. And for a 4-room flat, The price will start from $343,000 to $415,000, solidifying that this project is one of the affordable options in this October 2025 BTO launch. If we compare it with nearby resale price, actually the gap is close to 60%, so that's quite good. And because this project is a standard flat, there is no subsidy recovery or subsidy clawback. Now let's talk about the site plan. So this is the site plan for Yishun Glade. It looks a bit different from any other site plan because this development only have two types, 2-room flexi and 4-room flats, and then that's it. So the yellow ones are the 4-room flats, and then the peach pinkish color are 2-room flexi, and then there are no rental flats in this development. So 8 stacks will share 2 lifts, and the tallest floor is level 15. So I think it's a little bit tight. I wish they put more lifts, but you know, it is what it is. Probably the crazy part would be for block 3041A because it has like 17 stacks or something, and then it's sharing 3 lifts. So that's going to be quite a long wait if you need to rush. The surrounding area itself is already fully developed, so I think you would not be able to get any unblocked view in this development because it's just existing public housing everywhere. Now let's talk about the location. So this is the map that HDB gave, and if we look at the corresponding Google map, this is the site which is basically between Yishun Ring Road and Yishun Street 31. As you can see, the surrounding area is already fully developed, so I think if you live here, you don't have to worry so much about ongoing construction noise because, again, the area is already pretty well developed. If you are wondering where is the nearest MRT station, well, unfortunately, I have to zoom out. The nearest MRT station is Yishun, but then it is about 1.5 kilometers away according to Google Maps, so definitely you would need to take a feeder bus to get there. In terms of amenities, there are several malls around the area, but again, it's not within walking distance. So as you can see here, you have Junction 9, and then North Point City is at Yishun, so that is also providing a lot of amenities, but again, not within walking distance. In terms of healthcare facilities, Yishun Polyclinic is around the area. You can just take a short bus ride there, as well as the Yishun East Community Club is also there. If you have kids, there's this free water park called Oasis Water Park at Yishun East. So I've actually been there before. It's quite nice for your kids. It's just the floor is a bit slippery, but then otherwise it's actually nice to spend time with family there. Besides the Yishun Polyclinic that I've mentioned earlier, there are actually also other hospital, which is this one. So again, it's a short bus ride away. If you like outdoor activities, Yishun Park is over here, which is quite big. Yishun Pond also here, and then there's this Khatib Bongso Park connector, which means that you would have some facilities if you would like to go for a morning run or take your dog for a walk. But unfortunately, again, it's a bit far. It's not within walking distance. Although Yishun Park is a little bit far, but this Khatib Bongsu Park connector is more within walking distance to the land plot, so that could also be an alternative if you want to spend your mornings. In terms of school option, as you can see on the map, there are quite a lot of primary and secondary schools nearby. So definitely, if you have a family, you don't have to worry so much about school options because there are just quite a lot of them within the area. So what do I like about this project? Well, this is definitely one of the budget-friendly option in the October 25 BTO launch. I also appreciate that for families, there are a lot of school options nearby. In terms of amenities, even though there's not much within walking distance, but you can take a bus ride either to Junction 9 or to North Point City Mall. There are also several attractions that are family-friendly nearby. For example, the Yishun East Free Water Park, the Khatib Bongsu Park Connector, etc. For singles, you definitely should consider this project because it has quite a lot of 2-room flexi supply. I also like the fact that the surrounding area is fully developed, so you don't really have to worry about a lot of construction noises in this place. And of course, it's good to know that this project will be classified as a standard BTO with just the typical 5-year MOP and typical restrictions. But then on the other hand, what are the downsides of this project? I think proximity to MRT station is indeed a problem. I mean, 1.5 kilometers away is not really within walking distance, even if you feel energetic because at the end of the day, like if you want to commute to work and then you have to walk that far, probably what would be more realistic, if you don't want to take the bus, probably like ride a bicycle or something, but then it's still far away. And because of its distance to the MRT station, unfortunately, it will have an impact on the resale potential and also the rentability potential. So that is something that you need to think about, especially if you want to rent out rooms or rent out the whole flat after MOP, or thinking to flip this flat after MOP. The potential profitability is very limited. Another downside is the ballot risk, because there are two projects for Yishun in the upcoming October 25 BTO. So you could either get Chencharu or this one, depending on your queue number. So that is something that you need to think about. All in all, in summary, I think between the two Yishun BTO projects, the surrounding of this particular project is actually more mature because there are more amenities, even though they are not within walking distance and you need to take a bus to go there. Singles in particular should really consider this particular BTO because there are quite a lot of two-room flexi supply, and I am anticipating the application rate for this project would be low. That would be my guess. So overall, this is a budget option for sure, but would I personally apply to this project? No, because in October there are plenty of better choices in my opinion, but that's just my opinion. Let me know in the comment section down below. Let's talk about Fernvale Plains. This project is bounded by Fernvale Drive, Fernvale Link, and Fernvale Street. The project comprises of 5 residential blocks ranging from 23 to 26 stories, including 1 rental block and 4 residential blocks with a total of 1,037 units of community care apartments, 2-room flexi, 4-room, and 5-room flats. These flats will be offered as standard flats with 5-year MOP, and it is also on shorter waiting time program with waiting time of less than 3 years. In terms of the on-site facilities, unfortunately, this project will only have a preschool, but of course, as usual, there will be a children's playground, fitness station, and a hard court. Now, let's talk about the pricing. For CCA, the price starts from $59,000 before grant, so that's very good. For 2-room flexi, the price starts from $162,000 to $244,000. So this is definitely one of the affordable option. But unfortunately, because there are only 100 units of 2-room flexi, all of them goes to senior. So there's no allocation for singles at all for 2-room flexi in this development. For 4-room flat, the price starts from $344,000 to $472,000, which is definitely one of the most affordable option in this batch. If we compare it with nearby resale price, the price surrounding the area is already like 600 something, so you're looking at about 34% gap. So I think that's helpful if you want to sell your unit after MOP later on. And for 5-room flat, I think the price is also still reasonable because it starts from $466,000 and it goes up to $617,000. But if you can see, the gap between 4-room and 5-room is not that much. So I think this is still very good. And because this is a standard project, there is no subsidy clawback. And as mentioned, the waiting time also is shorter with 32 months only. Now let's talk about the site plan. Okay, so this is the site plan for Fernvale Plains. It is indeed a huge plot because it's a mega project. It has over 1,100 units. So basically the orange one is 5-room, yellow is 4-room, these pink ones are CCA, and then this light yellow is the rental flats. The peach one is the 2-room flexi. What I like about this development is because I think they have a huge land plot, so that the gap between one block to another is quite healthy. So it's not like you're really seeing each other very closely. Like there's enough gap in between towers, so that's good. Now let's look at the number of stories. So the highest is 26. But then you also have blocks where the highest floor is level 23. And the reason why we want to know how many level there are is because we want to check whether the lift ratio is still reasonable. So here for block 480A, you have 5 lifts that will be shared across 12 stacks, which I think is still okay because The highest level is 20 something, right? So yeah, I think this is still okay. And for another block 482A, this is about 11 units, I think, and it is sharing 5 lifts. So I think that's still a healthy proportion as well. Now do note that this part is actually the expressway. So HDB already put a multi-story car park, so you don't face directly to the expressway. Yeah, but just take note that this is actually the expressway. If you want to have like a nice view, so probably like this one, because this part is reserved for park. So probably you will face a park first before you see the next high-rise residential development. Another option probably would be here because this is facing the primary school, so at least it's a low-rise building. Just take note that this area is still under development, so you can expect some construction noise and also dust for several years down the line because as you can see, there are many sites that are reserved for future development. Now let's talk about the location. Okay, so this is the map that HDB gave, and then as we can see, Kupang LRT station is just nearby, which is about 500 meters according to Google Maps, so definitely within walking distance. If we check on the Google Map, this is the corresponding plot, which is right over here, so definitely quite near to the Kupang LRT station. And then nearby, there's also a Shengshong supermarket, so even though the on-site facility for this BTO is only a preschool, but no worries because you have a supermarket just nearby within walking distance. If you like outdoor activity, the Sengkang Riverside Park is just over here. So it would be good for you to maybe have a jogging in the morning or to cycle or maybe take your dog for a walk. For more amenities, if we zoom out, actually Seletar Mall is probably a short bus ride away, or you can also take the LRT. If you want more food options, Jalan Kayu is also nearby. You can just take the LRT to Tanggam Station, so which is like one stop away, so it's quite close. Then you can find more eateries alongside Jalan Kayu. And of course, for more amenities, you can take the LRT to Sengkang Station, which is about 3 stops, where you can find a big mall, more amenities. And if you need healthcare support, Sengkang General Hospital is also quite close, which is about 2 LRT stops away because I think the nearest one is Changlim Station. And also if you want to go for a swim or you want to play soccer or something, Sengkang Active SG Sports Center is just nearby. Think you can just take a short bus ride away or maybe just cycle there. In terms of school options, as you can see in this map, there are quite a lot of primary and secondary school within the 2-kilometer radius. So I wouldn't be worried about where to put my kids to school. As you can see, even across the street, there's a primary school nearby. There are other school options around the area, so that's good. This is what I personally like about Sengkang area because even though it is admittedly very far from city center if you work there, however, objectively, if you stay at home, there are quite a lot of facilities and amenities for your family to live a simple life. Maybe you don't get a lot of nightlife, obviously, but at least like for a simple lifestyle, this is actually more than enough in my opinion. I do have to point out that this land plot is immediately going to face an expressway over here. So if you manage to get a queue number, just try to make sure that you don't pick a block that is directly facing the expressway because it's going to be quite noisy and dusty as well. And then another watch out is the land plot next to it is where another BTO is being built. So, and then if you notice, there this land plot next to it is also still empty. I think sooner or later this will be another residential building. So do expect that there will be some construction noises in the future. Even the plot like opposite it seems like they are going to build something later on. I know that it's quite far, but probably you can still hear the noises. But I think overall, this is still a solid budget option if you don't mind living far away from the city center. Okay, so what do I like about the project? I love that it is within walking distance to an LRT station. So even though it's LRT, but it's still a train station, right? So you can commute easily to work or to school, etc. The price is also relatively affordable in the October BTO lineup, so it's considered budget friendly. And I also appreciate that there are a lot of school options which will be very helpful for families and also can be a selling point when it's time for you to sell the flat later on. Even though the BTO project location is far away from city center, but it does have good amenities surrounding the area. If you like an active lifestyle, as mentioned, this is also near Sengkang Riverside Park and also active SG Sports Complex, so that's good. There are also amenities like several malls, even though you will need a bus ride or a train ride, but it's still relatively nearby. For seniors, you'll be happy to know that this project is senior friendly because it has 200 units of CCA, health and also community services. And I also appreciate that this project only has a 5-year MOP because I think nowadays it's quite rare to get a standard classification and nearby train station. Hopefully, HDB moving forward will continue to just keep everything standard if it's only near an LRT station. So on the other hand, what don't I like about this project? Well, if you have an allergy towards LRT, then this project might not be for you because that's the reality, right? You either need to take a bus ride to Sengkang MRT station or you take the LRT to Sengkang MRT. And having been in the area before in the past, Sengkang MRT station honestly is not the most comfortable station if you want to switch from LRT to MRT, vice versa, especially if you have a stroller or if you have a wheelchair. So please take note if, let's say, you or maybe your family member required a special arrangement because, the lift queue is always very long. I mean, even compared to Punggol MRT station, I think you have to experience it yourself. Then you know what I'm talking about. If you are planning to apply for this BTO, and then you either have a baby on a stroller or you have elderly family member on a wheelchair, before you apply for this project, seriously, go to Sengkang MRT station and then take the LRT to Kupang on a peak hour during weekdays. You experience it by yourself, then you know what I'm talking about. And then another downside would be potential construction noise and dust from surrounding areas. I think when I say potential, I'm just being very nice lah, because sooner or later, given the empty land plot surrounding the area, sooner or later it will be developed. So that is something that you need to take into consideration. And then some blocks of this development will face the expressway, so that is also something that you need to manage. Another thing that I don't like about this project is that I don't understand why they only allocate 100 units of two-room flexi when HDB knows at the same time seniors needs to be allocated 40% of two-room flexi or at least 100 units. If we play by that rule, then this would mean that two-room flexi in this particular project, every single one of them will be allocated for seniors. There will be none allocated for singles, which sucks. In summary, I think this project is a textbook budget BTO. Why do I say that? Because it has an affordable entry price. It is close to transport node. There are a lot of schools nearby. However, it is far away from city center. I think personally, this is a solid option if you are looking for a budget-friendly BTO in the October lineup, especially if you have a family. Obviously, you cannot expect to have a high profit if you do sell this apartment after MOP. You can't expect to be a millionaire if you buy this BTO. But I think if you are just looking for a house that you can start your property journey with, I think this is actually a good option. Let's talk about Teban Heights. Sited close to Panan Reservoir, Teban Heights is bordered by Teban Gardens Road, West Coast Road, and Jurong Town Hall Road. The project comprises of two residential blocks of 36 and 37 stories situated in a prominent position along West Coast Road, offering 638 units of 2-room flexi, 3-room, 4-room, 5-room, and 3-gen flats. You will also be 2 MRT stops away from Jurong East. These flats will be offered as standard flats under the new classification. In terms of on-site facilities, this project will have a preschool and a residence network center. In terms of waiting time, unfortunately, this project is a little bit slow because it will only be completed in about 48 months, which is not the longest but then not the fastest either. Now let's talk about the pricing. For 2-room flexi, the price is actually quite good. It starts from $145,000 before grant and goes up to $232,000. For 3-room, the price starts at $254,000 and goes up to $373,000. For 4-room, the price is also quite affordable. It starts under $400,000, so it will start at $397,000 to $539,000. And if we compare with the nearby resale price, the price gap is about 27%. So I think that's not that big. But then because this project is classified as standard, the amount of subsidy is also limited. So that probably explains why the gap between the BTO price and the nearby resale price is less than 30%. For 5-room flat, the BTO price starts at $576,000 and goes up to $740,000, which is quite surprising because the price is not that much different compared with nearby resale price. I think the gap is too small somehow. It's only 16%, which is quite surprising. If you are keen to have a 3-gen, this project also have a 3-gen flat, and the price starts from $613,000 to $738,000. As mentioned, this project is a standard flat, so there's no subsidy recovery or subsidy clawback. Now let's talk about the site plan. So this is the site plan for Teban Heights. As you can see, it's kind of small because it only has 2 towers and then that's it. The orange one is 5-room, and then yellow is 4-room, green is 3-room, and then you see the pink peach color is basically the 2-room flexi. If you are keen to have a reservoir view from your house, I think you need to pick stack 726, 724, 722, or 720. Well, maybe these stack also have like 700. Probably would have like the view of the reservoir but from a distance. If you want other option for unblocked view, it seems like if you pick something that faces this Commonwealth Secondary School, that will also be like unblocked view because of the low-rise building. Currently, the north part of the plot is still empty, but then it is reserved for future high-rise residential development. So in the future, your view will be blocked. Now let's look at the lift ratio. So for 10 stacks, you will be sharing 6 lifts. And then the tower height is 36 and 37. So I think it's still okay. So 6 lifts, yeah, still, I think overall still okay. So the communal facilities will be here in the middle, such as fitness corner as well as playground. So if you prefer quiet facing, you probably would want to avoid these stacks. But then again, you don't have much option because it's a small development. But just take note that this is the communal facilities. The multi-story car park is over here. And as usual, the roof garden will be accessible. Now, let's talk about the location. So this is the map that HDB gave. If we check in Google Map, it seems like this is basically the land plot. So as you can see, it's quite big. It is the land plot right opposite the Commonwealth Secondary School, and as you can see, it is directly facing the Pandan Reservoir Park. So as you can imagine, there will be quite a lot of flats that are going to face the waterfront. Not only top level, but also even like low floor and mid floor will have this unblocked view towards this waterfront, which will be very, very exciting. Even though the on-site facilities plan is only a preschool and a residence network, however, not to worry because actually there are several places where you can get amenities. So as you can see, this is the Teban marketplace, which is definitely within walking distance. In fact, it's just at the back of the plot, so within walking distance. And then you also have a lot of like small shops and restaurants nearby, some clinics, some ATM and bank branches, so that's very good. Besides Teban Marketplace, if we continue to go to the west side, then there are more amenities. So for example, you have Makan Shop here, you have Penjuru Food Court here, there's a mosque, and then as well as there's a Shangshong Supermarket here. So that would be good. And then there is a neighborhood park as well in case you want to exercise or you want to take your dog for a walk. So there are some amenities in the area. If I zoom out, there are quite a lot of business parks around the area, which means that a lot of worker around here, some of them would need some accommodation. So if you want to rent out rooms, or maybe after MOP, if you want to rent out your flat or you want to sell in the future, I think you have a good chance, because I think the demand is definitely there, especially with the proximity to the MRT station. In terms of nearest MRT station, as you can see, actually right now there's none, but there will be a Pandan Reservoir MRT station that will be built in several years' time, which will just line up nicely with the completion time of the BTO. And you will be just 2 stops away from the Jurong East MRT station, where obviously you will have a lot of malls and a lot of amenities around that area. And given how popular Jurong is for people who love the west side, I'm guessing that this project will actually be quite popular, because again, it's going to be really convenient to Jurong East. It's going to be facing the waterfront. So this project could be the hidden gem. In terms of healthcare facilities, there's none within walking distance, but then again, you can just take a bus or take the train nearby Jurong East, because then there's a general hospital around the area. So I think that's the nearest big healthcare facilities that I'm seeing. Nearby the BTO itself, I think I saw like a small clinics here around the Teban marketplace, but then it's just a small clinic. If you need to go to a hospital, you need to have like a short bus ride away, or you can also take the train. Now let's talk about school options. So as mentioned, the land plot is opposite Commonwealth Secondary School. But then the problem is, even if you zoom out the map, you can't really find a primary school nearby. I mean, there's this Fuhua Primary School, but it's quite far. So this is a watch out for parents if you want to apply for a BTO here. If you currently have young children, or in the future you are planning to have kids, then it might be a little bit challenging to find a primary school nearby the area. But of course, you can always use the school bus. But there's a watch out that in terms of primary school option, it's very, very limited. Okay, so what do I like about the project? I like the fact that it will be within walking distance to an MRT station, and you will only be 2 stops away from Jurong East, which is considered a major hub in the west area. Even though there aren't many on-site facilities, but nearby within walking distance, you can easily find some amenities like hawker center and small shops, small clinics, etc., and also a supermarket, so that will be quite convenient. Given that there are quite a lot of industries and offices around the area, I think it will be very easy to rent out rooms or even sell the flats later on after MOP, or rent out the whole flat after MOP, so that will be very convenient. Another positive thing is that surprisingly, this project has a lot of flat types. So even if, let's say, you want a 3-gen or a 5-room flat, if your budget can hold it, then obviously the options are available here. And last but not least, we cannot underestimate the power of being so near to Pandan Reservoir Park, because it will give quite a lot of units here an unblocked view towards the waterfront, which typically is a very good selling point down the line. Other than that, it will also be very supportive if you like an active lifestyle, because you can easily jog, you can go for a run, you can take your dogs out, or you can just cycle. So I can see why many people will be drawn to this particular project. Now, on the other hand, what are the downsides? I think we cannot escape the fact that for families, it will be very challenging to get your kids to primary school, because the school options is very limited. Only Commonwealth Secondary School is nearby, but then beyond that, it's very difficult. Another downside that I'm seeing is because this project is categorized as a standard project, the price is not exactly cheap. So it's somewhere in the middle. So it's not the most expensive, but then it's also not the cheapest one. So yeah, this one, the price is somewhere in the middle. Another watch out is for singles. Please note that this project has very limited two-room flexi options for first-timer singles. In fact, if we do the math, there will only be 26 units that is allocated for first-timer singles. So that will be very, very, very competitive for singles who wants to apply at this project. So in summary, I think this is actually a very good project, especially for those who like the West area, and doesn't have young children. Although it is very far from the CBD area, but at least it's near an MRT station, and it is only 2 stops away from Jurong East MRT station. The lack of schooling options might be an issue for families, but then strangely at the same time, because there are only 26 slots allocated for first-timer singles, this project is not exactly for singles as well. So personally, I'm a bit confused, like this BTO is actually targeting which audience, I'm not so sure. But seriously, the combination between proximity to MRT station, proximity to Jurong East hub, standard classification, and an unblocked view to Pandan Reservoir Park could be a very good combination. If people realize it, this project could actually be the hidden gem in October 2025 BTO lineup. If you want to know more about other projects, check out my other videos in this channel. To support my work, you can give a one-time tip by pressing the thanks button, pick the amount that you want, and click buy and send. Or you can also press the join button for exclusive contents and monthly membership. Your support means a lot to keep us independent. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye!